Hello, folks. My name is Rachel. I am the new IVC librarian, and this is my first TRC portfolio. I'm going to call this an executive summary where I'm going to walk you through my TRC portfolio and show you folks how I did it. So, this is my first year TRC IVC portfolio. What you are looking at is a Google site where I will send this link. The blank spot where there's currently nothing will be this video that I am recording right now. All right, so I have set up my portfolio to basically be organized the same way that the subject headings are in the SOCCD Faculty Academic Master Agreement 2021 through 2024, pages 139 through 140. They list general duties and responsibilities, inquiry and reference and service, library material, learning materials, acquisition and maintenance, instructional support, professional development and growth, and OER and special projects. However, in my self-evaluation, I do the whole thing through a lens of service, as most of the examples I saw for TRCs listed almost everything through different service, and it did seem to limit the redundancies. So I'm just going to walk you through how you can use my TRC portfolio. Any of these icons right here, you can click on them and they will take you directly to it. Same with the guide panel on your left. If you scroll down, this is going to give you a list of deliverables. As someone who worked as an independent contractor with regular quarterly deliverables, this was always pretty effective for me to make sure I had a list of exactly what I've done with what dates, so you can scroll through that live. You can also scroll down and see all the TRC criteria. This is again pulled from, I want to say, starting on page 138 or 139 in the master agreement. And then I put the purpose, and then I listed down here 139 through 140 is the actual librarian pages, and then the original pages for all faculty are listed above that. So I have that all here, and at the bottom you'll always have a link to be able to return to the home page if you would like. We'll start with my self-evaluation. Just put this in an essay format, but I'm going to go over the key points right now. Again, I come from a background where I never really had job stability and everything had really fast turnover. So I brought what I have now realized is a false sense of urgency to this job. So that has definitely been a double-edged sword. So when I got here, I accepted this job mainly because the job description and the interview questions were so thoughtful, and I saw a potential here that really made me excited. So in my service to the library, I mentioned all of the elements that I'm going to go through. Then I listed service to IVC, professional development. I do OER and special project as a separate element. And then lastly, I have quite a long section on things that I've learned and that I've grown in so far. I list one of my favorite quotes by Brene Brown. "You are responsible for the energy you bring into this room." Brene Brown is a shame and vulnerability researcher who I really appreciate all of her work. And the main thing that I feel like I've learned is I need to communicate with people the way they want to be spoken to. I am a barrage of information. I want all the background context, and most people want 3 to 5 bullet points with a very professional preamble. So I did not realize that when I came in, my barrage of information was being taken and interpreted as judgment. And I stepped on a lot of toes, and it was messy, to say the very least. So I've backpedaled. I'm learning to take a lot of feedback on my communication style, trying out a couple different modalities and formats on that. And I'm hoping moving forward, I can present a much more uniform, collegiate conversational style in my emails, especially. So that's one of the main things I talk about in what I've learned so far. Going down here, you'll just have a bio. I always include a CV, and then this right here was a screenshot from the original TRC evaluation. So then if we go through each of these general duties and responsibilities, you have a summary of duties performed. You have a list of basically like a checklist and a TRC criteria. Under inquiry and reference, I'm going to list that I did a total of 19 hours of reference and instruction per week, break it out, give you how it can be proven with ref analytics, as well as a specific list. Then we have learning materials, acquisition and maintenance. One of the things people don't always realize is OER long-term becomes electronic resource management, which is part of collection development. So I do mention that briefly here. I have created some infographics and PowerPoints that I built off of that were given to me as a base. And here is the learning material example where you can scroll through. This is my current library orientation that was developed from Dr. Brandy Eidelman. I have listed up here which slides are my own and which ones were modified slides. And there's also a Gobi assessment that I started. You're just going to have a little assessment here as well as a screenshot, as that would not be accessible to everybody. And this is basically just a practice assessment. I wouldn't actually encourage purchasing these titles just yet. I don't feel like it's comprehensive enough until we have our physical collection accessible. So this is the learning materials. Then we have instructional support. Here I list out the actual library orientations and virtual library workshops. I talk about observing two librarians doing their library outreach to see the difference and to learn what's best. Give a couple examples of some of the infographics I create to try to distill down the information. As we know, one of the greatest barriers to information literacy in this digital age is psychological barriers of access and getting overwhelmed with cognitive fatigue. So how do we limit that with actually pretty graphics, basically? I give an assessment of the Instruction of Library Honors course with Brandy Eidelman. She added me, I've been her TA, and it is one of the most beautiful things I've seen. A lot of libraries get sidelined, and the librarians at IVC have done an incredible job of really embedding themselves in reference and instruction, as well as in the way that they approach critical thinking skills and pedagogy. It's very thoughtful, it's very intentional, and it's well set up. I do list student engagement down here. I only had access to the survey this way, so here's a link here, and then I did a screenshot of it, as well as I have asked faculty for recommendations, and I just got this one back from the faculty. And then down at the bottom, I list instructional support. And then professional development, I list the different professional development elements I've done. I have PD Flex Week attendance, which you can also see in my original list on the homepage. I went to Open Ed International Conference virtually for 3 days. I'm currently attending 2 of the 3 book club Roxanne Gay that's on campus, as well as supporting district-wide initiatives like OER work group meetings. And things that I've learned, I'm learning a lot about IVC culture and changing my communication style, as I mentioned, and learning how to talk to people again, how they want to be talked to, and remembering again that I'm going to be here with you all. So I need to shed my temporary mindset and start thinking about the fact that I want to continue to grow with you folks for the next 2 decades. And what does that look like? And how can I pace things in such a way where I give people just the amount of information they need to do the next step or two? And then from there, give them additional information and realize that most people want to be walked through incrementally that way. They don't want the whole thing all at once. So that is one of the things that I'm learning. It is a huge challenge that I'm starting to figure out. Now, OER and special projects, technically this could be within all of the others, but I did list it separately since it was a big part of the original job description. Since I got here, I've mainly done a lot of assessment, just a lot of information gathering. Starting in January 2025, I am transitioning to the OER coordinator role. I am currently the ASCCC OERI liaison, so I am doing communication management for that, gathering best practices on AI pedagogy, XB12, and a lot of elements around reporting and making sure we're in compliance with the legislation, as well as with what I'm going to call the spirit of the OER world. And then I do list some of the different elements here. I list next steps. And if you scroll down here, this is where I've spent quite a bit of time putting things together. This is my executive summary. It has not been approved by anyone yet. It is just my personal assessment. I list it based on alignment to legislative requirements, current IVC status based on what I have documentation for, documentation and compliance, OER ZTC deliverables, deadline and compliance, and then proposed action items, again unapproved, and impact grant application, marketing strategies for faculty, as well as kind of a transition from late adopter to a really strong contributor based on the academic excellence that we have here at IVC, long-term benefits, and a couple links. Here I list the actual pitch that has been going out to all faculty. IVC has this really awesome opportunity in that I don't have any established relationships with anyone. So it truly is a across the board opportunity for anyone to access these impact grants. Often grants are achieved by whoever knew the people closest. So you end up with relationships being built, and then those people apply for grants. But because I'm new, we can send this out to all faculty, and there is no networking that could anyway interfere with this. And instead, it'll just be a universal opportunity that we can work on. And so this gives the grant opportunity. We talk about a couple examples. I have a couple things highlighted that I'm getting confirmation on. Here's an example of what an ADT ZTC pathway would look like, because I found a lot of people like visuals. And then if we scroll down here, this is the suggested strategy specifically, and it's quite detailed. I think it would be really important to do what I call a pre-foundational suggested plan, which is going to be a lot of governance and things outside of the OER work group. And then I go into foundational elements to make sure that we have confirmation and all the required documents. And that's quite long. And then after that, we go into things like long-term scaling and expediting. How do we really work towards being a ZTC campus? I also put here example of things upon request. I've had multiple faculty ask me for an information packet. So this was built out. It's literally an example of all the main arguments for why OER, a lot of the definitions, some of the same infographics, and then a lot of the things like how much time does it take, things that I get regularly. I also have in here an embedded LibGuide. This is for faculty who want to know how to for things, and I don't have time to explain it to them in the moment and they're in the middle of it. I have found that being able to send someone to a link and being able to say, copy just this link right here, link address, and I can take them directly to how to do an LMS integration. So it'll take them right to this video with the step-by-step instructions right underneath it to be incredibly effective when it comes to addressing pain points for OER building in multiple OER softwares in multiple modalities. And then here's just an example of a couple of the infographics that I've built to try to explain the world of OER. It is a very fragmented, very large world. And it is very confusing to a lot of faculty if it's not something you're regularly exposed to. So these are some of the infographics so far. And then again, for the TRC criteria, this one I just put the original job description, cut and pasted in. And then I do list effective criteria down here at the bottom. So that is my IVC first year TRC portfolio and an overview for you folks. And I'm excited to be here with you all. I'm excited to learn and grow. And I think that there's a lot of really fun things that we can do together.